So this is going to be my new, I guess you could say, mini-series on the channel, where I rank all of the albums of my favorite bands, and it'll only be 3 episodes since I really only have 3 top favorite bands. So what better way to kick this series off than with my number 1 favorite, that of course being Korn. And fair warning, this list may be controversial to some people, but without any further ado, let's get right into it. Number 14, The Path of Totality. The Path of Totality is an interesting record, to say the least. While I don't absolutely hate it like everyone else does, at the same time, I can understand why. Because the dubstep and electronic sound is too much on this album. And while I see the potential for this to be a full-on industrial record instead, where the dubstep is more in the background and not up front in your face like it is, I think it would have helped to make it a lot better. And a lower ranking album like this doesn't mean I completely dislike it. It just means that it's my least favorite. Number 13, Korn 3, Remember Who You Are. It's such a damn shame that this is one of my least favorite, because this album I think had the most potential. At the time, this was being touted as a return to form, where they were gonna go back to the heavy, raw sound of earlier records, even going as far to get the original producer of the first 2 albums. But sadly, that fell short, because the guitar mixing on this album is horrible. It sounds oddly quiet, meanwhile everything else is loud. But not only that, there's also some filler on this album, so another least favorite of mine. Number 12, Take a Look in the Mirror. Yet another album with wasted potential, because it also was being hyped to be a return to the raw sound, which is quite a common thing with Korn, it seems like. But this was gonna sound more like Follow the Leader, and while you can actually hear the guitar loud and clear on this album, it's plagued by other issues. The lyrics are not Jonathan Davis's best, and every instrument sounds too distorted, so it makes the instrumental sound off. But why this is higher than the other 2 albums? Well, despite some of the flaws, there's still some decent songs on here, like Right Now, Here It Comes Again, Everything I've Known, and Did My Time. But it's still gonna be another least favorite. Number 11, See You on the Other Side. Now, I actually think this is a bit above Take a Look in the Mirror, because Jonathan's voice sounds really damn good on this thing, and despite having only one guitarist this time, the guitar tone still sounds pretty good. However, this album suffers the same problem in that the lyrical writing is still not great, though the riffs and vocals definitely carry this album. And this album has better production than Take a Look in the Mirror, and some highlight tracks for me are Coming Undone, Politics, Twisted Transistor, and Seen It All. So overall, I would say this is an okay album. Number 10, The Serenity of Suffering. Now, while there's a lot of songs on here that are definitely good, at the same time, some of them do sound the same and seem a bit like filler, but not every song is like that. Like, Black is the Soul is a favorite of mine off this album, as well as A Different World featuring Corey Taylor from Slipknot, which of course makes the song a banger for me, and The Hating is absolutely underrated. So I'm gonna say this is a decent album. Number 9, Requiem. So this album has an okay production quality, although the guitar and bass are muddled by all the synths and drums, and Jonathan's voice has this weird vocal effects, and it's not my favorite performance from him. And this album has only 9 songs, but that doesn't mean this record is completely terrible, because the highlights are definitely the lyrical writing and the melodies of some of these songs. Some standouts for me are Forgotten, Let the Dark Do the Rest, Start the Healing, Lost in the Grandeur, Penance to Sorrow, and Worse is on its way. So, another decent album, in my opinion. Number 8, Issues. Now, just like Requiem, the production is okay sounding, though it's a bit better than Requiem, and there definitely are some classic hits on here, like Falling Away From Me, Somebody, Someone, or my personal favorite, Make Me Bad. However, there is just a little bit of filler, because there's a lot of interludes on this thing, and not every song is memorable, but it definitely is not a bad record, and it's one of the OG records, so I think it's also decent. Number 7, Life is Peachy. Okay, so I think this album is actually solid, because this also has some iconic songs, such as Good God, Adidas, Mr. Rogers, Wicked, and No Place to Hide. The production is also good for the time. It's heavy with a bit of raw nature to it, so overall, a good album. Number 6, Korn. So this is their self-titled album, and it's also a very important one, because not only is it their debut record, it also paved the way for nu metal in general, and it's not too bad. It's got pretty good production even now. Just like Life is Peachy, it has that great heavy raw sound, and has a lot of good classics on it, like Blind, Clown, um, I'm not going to repeat the song title for reasons, and Shoots and Ladders. Overall, a pretty good album. Number 5, Untouchables. Alright, so the reason I put this at number 5 is because this is a pretty good album as well, but for different reasons. The production is solid on this one. It has the dark, atmospheric, heavy sound and tone that I really like, especially on the closing track, No One's There. But there's a lot of great other songs on this record, like Here to Stay, Blame, Bottled Up Inside, Thoughtless, Hating, and One More Time. And Jonathan's voice on this album is really damn good. Probably one of his best performances, though a pretty good album as well. Number 4, The Paradigm Shift. Okay, so this album, in my opinion, is really good. But why is that? Well, for starters, it does the electronic sound right, unlike The Path of Totality, and Head, one of the guitarists, who had left during Take a Look in the Mirror, finally came back to the band, and it shows in the quality of the album, because it makes for some great heavy sound. The melodies are also fantastic on each of these songs. Speaking of which, there's so many solid songs on here, like Pray For Me, Love and Meth, Spike in My Veins, Mass Hysteria, Never Never, and Victimized. And that's just some. So, a really good album. Number 3, The Nothing. Now, this album is so damn good, because the production to me is the best production on a modern Korn record. The sound is classic, but also new at the same time. And funny enough, this album came out the year I just started to become a big Korn fan. So the timing worked out great. The melodies are also really catchy and are amazing. And it's also got great songs such as Cold, You'll Never Find Me, The Darkness is Revealing, Idiosyncrasy, Finally Free, Can You Hear Me, Gravity of Discomfort, and Harder. So, another really good album. Number 2, Follow the Leader. So, this album is a classic, and for good reason. The production is the best out of the OG albums, especially for 98. The songs and melodies are catchy as hell, and it's also got a lot of great and classic songs, of course, like It's On, Freak on a Leash, Got the Life, Dead Bodies Everywhere, Children of the Korn, spelled with a K, which also features Ice Cube, BBK, Reclaim My Place, and Justin. That's also just some. So, overall, a really good album. And the number one album is Untitled. Now, I know this might be the biggest controversial album on this list, but here's why it's my most favorite. The industrial production is a lot better utilized than on See You on the Other Side, and I like the atmospheric sound on here as well. The melodies are really underrated in my opinion, and sure, while it's not the heaviest record, it still has some amount of heaviness to it. The album cover is also really cool looking, and the songs are also pretty underrated, like Starting Over, Evolution, Hold On, Everby, Innocent Bystander, Killing, Hushabye, and I Will Protect You. So I definitely think this record is way overhated, and I think it's actually really good. So that concludes the ranking, and some of you may disagree with my list, but guess what? That's okay. We all have different opinions. But that is going to do it for today, and whether you agree or disagree with this list, or you want to drop your own ranking, be sure to comment down below. And as always, I will see you all next time.